Raiders fans, what's up? Welcome back to another episode all about your Las Vegas Raiders. Today we're diving into a trade idea that's been floating around and why a big move in the NFL might open the door for the Raiders to make a surprising decision involving Zamir Zeus White. But first, the hot topic buzzing around Raider Nation. Should the Raiders go after Jadeveon Clowney? As you probably know by now, the Carolina Panthers released Clowney after a solid season where he notched 5.5 sacks. Whenever a notable player hits the market, the question is simple. Does it make sense for the Raiders to make a move? So, I'm throwing it out to you. Should the Raiders sign Jadeveon Clowney? If you're on board, type SIGN in the comments. If you think the team should pass, type PASS below. Now here's my take. I see Clowney as an intriguing, low-risk option for Las Vegas. No, I wouldn't break the bank. We're talking a deal around $4 to $5 million, loaded with incentives. But why consider him? Over the past 2 seasons, Clowney has tallied 15 sacks and remains one of the league's more productive edge defenders. Sure, he's never cracked double-digit sacks in a season, and yes, the hype from his South Carolina days, remember that massive hit on Michigan, has cooled. But the guy can still play. Last year with the Panthers, a team in full rebuild mode, Clowney recorded 46 tackles, 5.5 sacks, and 9 tackles for loss. Carolina moved on to clear cap space and focus on younger talent. Meanwhile, the Raiders are in a mini rebuild of their own, but they're also aiming to win right now. Adding a veteran like Clowney could give the defense a solid boost without wrecking the budget. So here's the big picture. You're looking at a player with consistent production, leadership experience, and something to prove. For a defense trying to take the next step, that sounds like a gamble worth considering. Let's keep this rolling, Raider Nation. Here's why Jadeveon Clowney could make a lot of sense for the silver and black. First off, Clowney's reliability. He's solid against the run and can still pressure the quarterback. No one's saying to hand him a massive contract, but if you can land him for around $4 to $5 million plus some performance incentives, absolutely worth a look. Now think back to this offseason. One of the players the Raiders really wanted to bring back was Lavon Chesson. That one stung when it didn't happen. Chesson, a former Panther, showed flashes of talent in Las Vegas, and defensive line coach Rob Leonard played a huge role in getting the most out of him. So when you ask, should we sign Clowney? Don't just think about Clowney the player. Think about the system. The Raiders still have Rob Leonard. They still have defensive coordinator Patrick Graham. If they were able to turn Chesson into a 5-sack, 32-tackle contributor, why not believe they could do something similar with Clowney? Another key factor, connections. In the NFL, relationships matter, and Clowney has a big one. Back in 2019, he played under Pete Carroll with the Seattle Seahawks. That year, he racked up 31 tackles, 3 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, and even scored 2 defensive touchdowns, one on a pick six and another on a fumble return. His Pro Football Focus PFF grades that season, impressive across the board. An 87.3 overall, 79.1 pass rush, and 80.8 against the run. If Pete Carroll remembers that 2019 version of Clowney, it's easy to see why teams still see potential. There's also the financial side. The Raiders have cap space, roughly $36.8 million, one of the highest in the league. Of course, priority should go to key extensions like Kolton Miller and Jakobi Meyers. But after locking those in, the Raiders would still have room to add a veteran edge rusher like Clowney. And remember, there were plenty of reports this offseason linking the Raiders to outside linebackers and edge rushers, including Jalen Walker. Clowney fits that mold perfectly. Without cap space, this conversation might not be worth having. But with flexibility and a clear need, it's a move worth considering. All right, Raider Nation. Let's break down one more key reason why signing Jadeveon Clowney makes sense for the silver and black. It's all about competition. Bringing in Clowney would light a fire under Tyree Wilson. And let's be honest, Wilson needs that push. Entering his 3rd year, the expectations are sky high. When Wilson came into the league, many compared him to Clowney. Long, athletic, and bursting with potential. Having a veteran like Clowney around could not only challenge Wilson, but also mentor him. Imagine Clowney taking Wilson under his wing, showing him how to sharpen his game and unlock his full potential. If Wilson can break out and play like the number 1, 7th overall pick he was drafted to be, this Raiders defense could turn into one of the most dangerous units in the entire NFL. So when you think about spending $4 to $5 million on Clowney, don't just look at it as paying for sacks. Look at it as investing in Wilson's growth and potentially lifting the whole defense to another level. That's money well spent. Now, shifting gears, there's been plenty of buzz about a possible Zamir White trade. Something happened around the league recently that makes you wonder if there's a team out there ready to make a move for Zeus. While it's still unclear which team might be the best fit, there's one out there that could give him a fresh start. And maybe even one White would be excited to join. Let's shift over to the news that's got me wondering. Could the Raiders trade away Zamir White? Here's what happened. Panthers rookie running back Jonathan Brooks tore his ACL back in Week 14 of last season. The former Texas star, one of the top running backs from the 2024 draft class, is now out for the entire 2025 season. When you look at the Panthers' depth chart, they've got Chuba Hubbard, Rico Dowdle, and they just drafted Etienne. But losing Brooks leaves a gap. And that's where Zamir White could come in. Look, let's be honest, Brooks is on another level compared to White in terms of talent, but from a fit perspective, this could work. If I were in the Raiders front office right now, John Spytek, Pete Carroll, I'd be picking up the phone and calling Carolina. Hey, are you interested in Zamir White? Here's why this makes sense for both sides. White's likely looking at his situation in Las Vegas and realizing his time here is almost up. With the Raiders drafting Ashton Jeanty, the writing's on the wall. White's a free agent next season, and realistically, his opportunities for touches here are slim to none. He probably wants to go somewhere he has a real chance to contribute. And Carolina? That's home. White grew up just 2 hours from Bank of America Stadium, where the Panthers play. He's deeply connected to his hometown and his ranch, where he spends his off-seasons with his horses. It's a huge part of his life. From a human standpoint, sending him somewhere close to home makes sense. I'm not asking for a big return here. A 7th-round pick would do. That's probably all you're going to get anyway. But here's the kicker. Trading White frees up $1.1 million in cap space for 2025. That's money you can turn right around and use to sign a player like Jadeveon Clowney. Let's be real. Who's going to help the Raiders win more games this season? Zamir White or Clowney? If White is touching the field in 2025, that probably means the team's in full-blown panic mode. So why not make the move now? Get some value back, save the cap space, and let both sides part ways with respect. Let me be clear. I don't want more running back drama on this team. Look, I get it. The Josh Jacobs situation was its own thing. But you can still feel that tension between Jacobs and the Raiders even now. What I don't want is another drawn-out situation with a running back we already know we're going to move on from. Let's do right by Zamir White, help out the team, put a little extra money in our pocket, and part ways on good terms. It just makes sense for both sides.